casualties at EXCO election. Attracting health personnel to remote areas, juicy incentives in the offing, and family of Takoradi girls fail to secure bones.
All right, I've got a number of them. I'll start with the Daily Guide and the banner headline this morning. Fight breaks over PDS. Nana seeks mutual economic cooperation with Russia. Takrady girls' families get access to remains. Ibrahim bauxite review in December. And on the back, Ghana elects new football chief today. Randy Inimado Habiba gets GFA Exco post. Beach soccer relishes GFA Congress. And Happy FM makes history with GFA presidential debate.
All right, on the front page of the Finder, Accra markets deteriorate. Traders say it has reduced price of LPG to encourage patronage in the northern region. That's from the chiefs there. Trade and Investment Corporation to define Russia-Ghana relations. That's according to President Akufo-Addo. And GRA closes down 2 companies and 3 others given a deadline.
Kojo, did I hear you say the Daily Guide said a fight broke over the PDS?
Yes, indeed.
Well, the Chronicle says there's been a smooth changeover at ECG. No hitches encountered. Interesting one there. A doctor also says on the front page of the Chronicle, your open defecation could cause several anomalies. Also, Upper West chiefs want prices of LPG
Who's
gas.
open defecation?
The people who openly defecate. I was actually thinking it's a good thing for me to tell some of my people when I go. Anyway, Upper West chiefs want prices of LPG gas reduced. American embassy reacts to Nyati headline. Our headline of the day for
2 days ago.
Yes, and Akufo-Addo sells Ghana beyond aid policy in Russia.
Right, I have the Gold Street business, and work on onshore oil regulatory framework begins is the banner headline. Also, Ghana loses $190 million granted over cancelled power contract. We all know what that's about. Ghana risks petroleum supply crunch is also on the front page of Gold Street Business. And on the back, GIPC's 18th Club 100 Awards, slated for November 15. FNB Ghana holds trade workshop for clients is also one of the stories on the back of the Gold Street Business.
All right, well, Daniel, your smooth reaction is being reported as a mixed reaction on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. So mixed reaction greets termination of PDS ECG agreement. Rawlings applauds $1 million penalty against the fishing company. Ghana, Russia must increase trade investments. GFA elects presidents today. GRA chases tax defaulters. And on the back page of the Ghanaian Times, who gets the nod in today's FA presidential? And we will be having a more in-depth conversation on that. Gary L. Smith will be joining us a little bit later to tell us exactly what it means for who wins, what that means for Ghanaian football.
Super. From the Ghanaian Times to the Ghanaian Observer, and gifting your brother 60% of Ghana's bauxite is state capture. Upon Nkrumah replies Mahama. Remember when Kojo Nkrumah, information minister, was speaking on Newsnight a couple of nights ago, he made this specific statement. Well, he's speaking in reference to the PDS saga and the former president's reaction. Reduced price of LPG to encourage patronage in the northern regions. That has been reported in a couple of the newspapers. President Akufo-Addo's visit to Russia is also here. Shoppers stranded as Accra Mall tenants lock shops. And group hails Akufo-Addo over termination of PDS deal.
All right, then I've got the Herald, and we've had a fight, we've had a smooth reaction and a mixed reaction. The Herald reacts differently. PDS corruption opening up maggots in $178 million Kelney, GVG, and McKinsey contracts. So they are looking to other contracts now as a result of the cancellation of the PDS deal. Also on the front page, SNIT engages employers on obligations, benefits, and penalties. Supreme Court gives AG 1 week deadline in $4 million NCA trial. And Akufo-Addo caught sleeping at Russia-Africa Summit. Now that's our early contender for headline of the day, right?
Yep. And the Daily Statesman is very loudly silent on the PDS issue. I must say, not on the front pages. But energy giant Gunvor offers $100 million to settle corruption case. Upper West chiefs call for LPG price reduction. Obviously, that's Russian trade investment story. Also on the front page of the Daily Statesman.
The Daily Heritage is also silent on the PDS saga. It says it however, has the NCA trial that Kojo was talking about. The SC ordering the AG to file statement of case in 7 days. Asamoah Gyan to cough up 204,000 Ghana cedis for wife. as maintenance for 15 months. There's a picture of our Captain General Asamoah not looking so happy. Anyway, we'll deal with hate speeches. Election Security Task Force declares, and we have not procured any 1,800 cars. Maslock CEO.
All right. Well, no mention of PDS in the weekend today either, but GN Savings case comes up. Oforiatta escapes suit is the banner headline. There's also a story about Ghanaian couple clothing, and Ghana is transforming rail sector. Details on page 6. Pupils abandon school is a page 3 story, and it's about the Amanfro Peace Town School, and it's all due to floods.
And Kojo, I think definitely the biggest story on the front pages this morning is the football election conversation. But I think it'd be great if Daniel gave us an update on the Takoradi girls, because yesterday was a pretty big conversation, wasn't it?
Yes, I remember hosting Joy News today, the midday bulletin on Joy News yesterday. I spoke with Natalia Kwanzaa, our correspondent who has been shadowing the family, and she spoke to Michael Hayford. Now, what happened was the family had a closed-door meeting with the IGP, IGP James Opombuenu, and the IGP told them, fine, you can go to police hospital, look at the remains of your deceased three family members, look at the report for the DNA test, but you cannot take the bones with you. Now, Michael Hayford spoke to us live on the bulletin, and he said that, look, that is what we came for. We came for the bones to take home to test. I asked him if they have any means to test as of now. He says they don't have immediately, but for now, their focus is they want the remains. Now, the Daily Graphic reports on page 16 that when they went to the hospital, the IGP was true to his word. They saw the bones, they did not take them with them. Now, Michael, after coming out of that, after coming out of the hospital, said he does not believe the bones they saw belong to their family members. And I'm quoting him. He says that what they saw at the mortuary were broken bones, which were clearly very old and therefore could not be those of the girls. He says the teeth were big and old, which he believed were different from those of the kidnapped girls. And he says what we saw today has strengthened our position that our relatives are not dead. Of course, the 3 girls we are talking about are Ruth Love-Quayson, Priscilla Blessing Bentum, and of course there's Ruth Abaka. And so that's the quick updates on that one. But anyway, let me take you to page 58 of the Daily Graphic. 2 big stories covering that page. The first at the top is that Obin Echampong Abe to make it to GFA Exco. Exco is Executive Council for the Ghana Football Association. Obin is the board chair for Mediama Sporting Club, which I must say is the club closest to my hometown. Dr. Tony Obin, and Chief Executive Officer of Ashanti Gold, Frederick Echampong, and Randy Abe, bankroller of Hearts of Lions, were elected among 10 new members of the Ghana Football Association GFA Executive Council Exco at a tension-packed poll held at the association secretariat yesterday. Now, the others who joined them are George Ernest Amwako, Asante Kotoko CEO, Kingsley Osei-Bonsu, Bechim United, Nana Safo-Dro, Brekum Chelsea, and as the 5 representatives of the Premier League clubs.
Right now, Randy Abe comes for mention in another story in the Daily Guide this morning. Randy Inimado Habiba, get GFA Exco post is the headline, and it tells us a bit more about Randy Abe himself, who's the owner of Division 1 side Heart of Lions, and yesterday he pulled 26 out of the 48 votes to become one of the 3 persons who will be serving the interest of Division 1 on the GFA Council. Of course, there's mention of Habiba Ataforson and, of course, Mr. Inimado Mark Ado, who got 25 votes. Sami Enim Ado, who's the final of the trio, and he actually got 19 votes, not 25, to join the new council.
So you know why I have to ask? No relation?
No, absolutely no relations. But yesterday, Katie Hammond spoke on this, so let's take a listen to that.
Listen, I've lost interest in all of this. I mean, I've told you many times, the time when I was a goalkeeper. I was, for many years, I was a goalkeeper. Listen to him.
Wow.
I mean, when we were there with my brother here, when we were up there, school, LA Conti School, I was, Gabi Secondary School, I was, at the Saturday College, I was, Jubilee House, I was, University of Ghana, Lagos, I was. So, I mean, many guys around who have had extremely keen, have been extremely keen in the football, development of football in Ghana. But you see, in recent years, look, I've stopped watching football. I mean, Kotoko, Kumasi, I tell you, there was a point in time. I'm clear. If I hadn't left this country at a point in time, I probably would have died of a heart attack because of Kotoko.
Well, we are glad he's still alive. Only Hammond.
I don't think I
Hammond.
can ever look at KT Hammond the same way again. I will always imagine him wearing gloves from now on.
Right, okay. Anyway, but so the election is actually today. There's 5 weeks. After 5 weeks of rigorous and exhaustive campaigns, the stage is set. And for the first time in the history of Ghana football, there's a female candidate, Amanda Akoko Clinton. So 6 people this morning. Voting starts at 10 o'clock. The delegates will be voting to pick one president of the FA. And of course, we will bring you all the details as and when we have them. But another story that's making the rounds in all of the newspapers is the fact that the president is in Russia and is talking about increasing trade, investment, and cooperation. Kojo, would you like to start with that?
Yeah, why not? Okay, so there are 2 stories in the papers I have about Russia. The first paper is the Daily Guide, and they say Nana seeks mutual economic cooperation with Russia. Details are on page 3, and I'm going to read a quote from the president. It says, Ghana wants its relations with the Russian Federation to be characterized by an increase in trade and investment cooperation and not by the export and import of raw materials. The president goes on to talk about how he specifically is hoping that the partnership will bring a value-added industrialized economy with modernized agriculture, trading in the global marketplace on the basis of things we make and grow, and to chart a new self-reliant independent path within the world economic order. All right, so he also said, we believe that effective cooperation with Russia will help us attain this goal.
Now, guys, it's interesting to note that $20 billion was traded between Ghana and Russia in 2018. This is a 17% rise over the previous year. I'm curious to hear how much of this came to Ghana and how much of this went to Russia. So which country out of the two is benefiting the most from the trade between the two countries? Now, according to the World Bank, 6 of the world's 10 fastest growing economies this year, including Ghana, are in Africa. And the president is making the point that Africa is rich in natural resources and is in possession of 30% of the entire world's remaining mineral resources. We also have the youngest population ever. So all of this he is saying to encourage Russian investors to take interest in Ghana and so that we can do business together now. We are standing at a very interesting point right now in African history because we are hosting the African Continental Free Trade Secretariat here in Ghana. It will cover a market of about 1.2 billion people. There's a combined GDP of $3 trillion. All of this is money here. If you think about the fact that about 40 billion have left the continent in illicit financial flows, then you realize that yes, money is leaving, but there's still money here to be made.
You know what else is leaving?
Tell me.
Our presidents to other countries to attend these fora. When everything these countries need is right here on the continent in Africa. I wonder why they're not visiting us. But anyway, that's another conversation
but that's
for another
not fair
day.
because they actually do come. Maybe not as often as he goes, but they do come.
And it's not it's not just about our president.
It's about the African.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next month, Turkey. Turkey is holding an African summit and expects all African heads of states to carry themselves to Turkey to go and talk to them about what they need from us. It doesn't make
But
much,
you know that sometimes it feels
sense
like
if
a
you
lot
ask
of
me.
this is also pivoted on the African Continental Free Trade area, which, like Daniel said, will cover a market of 1.2 billion. But we're still struggling with the Ghana-Nigerian border issue.
Yes. And so how we talk to each other is just as important
yes.
as how we talk to the outside world.
Ghana started a relationship with Ivory Coast in order to hopefully control the price of cocoa.
And it's been good so far. We were able to insist on a floor price after threatening that we won't export cocoa again. That was an interesting episode.
A few weeks ago, I was in Pennsylvania. About $4 billion worth of cocoa comes through their ports for Hershey's and other companies that use cocoa as a raw material, and they depend heavily on Ghana and Ivory Coast to give them exactly what they need for their business to flow. If it stops, that's $4 billion out of the Pennsylvania economy immediately. So we ought to leverage that to get some better terms with them.
Do you know the irony in there with 4 billion going into Pennsylvania? Do you know that the average Ghanaian farmer makes only 6% out of a chocolate bar?
Imagine that.
Yes. And
That's
if you
not
look
a
at
lot at all.
exactly, and if
Not
you
a lot at all.
look at the size of Nestle, or the companies that use, I'm not even going to talk about Nestle, but the companies that use our cocoa, you find that they are in the billions.
Indeed.
And our combined GDP, Ghana and Ivory Coast, is way below this figure.
But I guess we can't say it's too much. That it really is about being able to take that raw material and taking it to the end of what it possibly could be.
Yeah, well, perhaps if we're going to be restructuring deals, we should start looking at some of those deals as well, right?
Right, whilst we're doing the PDS, and I have a mixed reaction. You have a what reaction?
In fact,
I have a smooth takeover. You have a mixed reaction. Kojo has a fight.
yes, but
On one issue.
before my fight, let's wrap up on Russia by saying there's an interesting story, possibly our headline of the day in the Herald. It says Akufo-Addo caught sleeping at Russia-Africa summit, and there's a picture there.
Is there photographic evidence?
There is photographic evidence of the president at the
Allegedly.
summit.
But
at the
he's not
summit,
asleep.
But I cannot confirm or deny
Whether he's
that he was
asleep or
asleep.
He could have been looking down at the flowers
He could have been looking
or
down.
thinking about something.
Yes, he could have been.
Maybe he was not sleeping. Maybe. But the Herald editors believe he was asleep.
Yes.
And so they have put it there.
Anyway,
Right.
so let's.
That's
That's an outside possibility. Okay, then let's move on. And speaking of outsiders, Amanda Clinton and the other lawyer George are outsiders, aren't they? In the race for
a GFA president.
Yes, indeed. But it does remind me that sometimes the outsider can win.
Indeed.
Yes, especially when it comes to contracts.
Indeed. I see what you did there. Nice one, nice
like
one. But
that?
tell us
You like
about the
that?
fight. I do like that. Tell us
All
about
right,
the
so
fight.
it's the Daily Guide reporting this, and the headline is "Fight Breaks Over PDS." It's on page 3, and it simply talks about the fact that it starts off with some irony. It says the last thing the National Democratic Congress would have expected the NPP government to do is a termination of the deal, having accused the latter of manipulating the ratio of shareholding in its favor. The irony in the position of the former president and his party, for that matter, has opened him up for public opprobrium. And then it goes on to talk about how this has become a back and forth, with the president first saying that he was shocked at the development during the inauguration, former president, that is, John Mahama, that he was shocked at the development. He said that during the inauguration of NDC's manifesto, and he endorsed his role in the negotiations with Millennium Challenge Corporation, and talked about how the new government has, diverted that matter to another end. I am deeply disappointed in the Nana Akufo-Addo administration for its handling of the deal. That's according to the former president. And then they talk about crocodile tears, harsh words, and returning fire. So Kojo Nkrumah, having made that comment on Newsnight about the bauxite deal, is what they are calling returning fire.
So this sort of chronicles, like the controversy that has surrounded the compact and then the contract itself.
Yeah.
What the Chronicle newspaper did is that they visited some outlets of now ECG, because ECG has officially taken over the running of PDS, specifically Koforidua, Abeka, Legon, and Tema. And when the Chronicle visited these installations and offices of ECG yesterday, it observed that the operations were smoothly ongoing, as if nothing had happened. Now, they go on to say that at Abeka, the receipts for purchase of electricity still had the logo of PDS at the back, whilst the Electricity Company of Ghana were boldly written in front. At the Legon office, after spending some time to
Talk about power sharing.
Isn't it unbiblical? No man can have two masters. Anyway, this is not two. It's ECG who has taken over.
But you can have two servants, right?
As for that one.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
Okay. Now, this reporter also saw that a new billboard with PDS boldly written on it was leaning against the wall at the Legon office at 6 p.m. last night, 1800 hours GMT. The Facebook page of PDS had the name and logo changed to ECG. Now, this one we must do. The American embassy has reacted to the Nyati Nyati headline. Now, the MCC called Chronicle to the embassy called Chronicle to tell them that checking
wait.
is
You
not
can't just say it like that. They picked up the telephone and dialed the number and called.
They called Chronicle to say that, look, Miss Kekim is not a Nyati Nyati girl.
You have to do it in the American accent, Daniel.
Kojo, you just came back. Can you do it for us?
we call to inform you that Miss K. Kim is not a nyati girl.
Okay.
We would like
Super.
to bring that to your attention for further.
Super. Let me do the Chronicle reaction since they are speaking in a Ghanaian accent. We wish to put on record that we have nothing personal against Miss K. Kim. We're, however, upset that an individual acting in her personal capacity on behalf of a group could write such a letter to the government of a sovereign state.
Oh, fights, smooth transitions, and mixed reactions. Sounds like a marital dispute, doesn't it? But let's move on to the online news reviews brought to you by Zenith Bank in your best interest and Goyle Good Energy. Go lights with Zenith Bank. Travel light, shop light, pay light, and live light with Zenith Bank's array of electronic banking products. Sign up today for Zenith Bank's electronic banking solutions and enjoy the convenience of banking on the go. Go lights with Zenith Bank is faster and smarter. Zenith Bank in your best interest.
Now, Goyle, your trusted indigenous and #1 oil marketing company, is doffing its hat and saying a yiko to their numerous customers. Your loyalty to the Goyle brand has been rewarded again, and they're now CIMG Hall of Fame Petroleum Company of the Year after 3 consecutive years of success. Now, they're going to dedicate this award to you, of course. They're esteemed customers whose loyalty to Goyle they cherish. Always go to any of their over 380 plus service stations for quality fuel, lubricants, and unmatched customer service. Buy Goyle, grow Ghana. Goyle, good energy. Goyle, Yenara, Yedia.
And My Joy Online is reporting you will soon get a discount for exposing tax evaders. MCC orders Nana Baumia eat your nauseating PDS for $190 million. Man who specialized in stealing musical instruments in church, jailed 3 years.
Hey.
He specializes in stealing musical instruments from church. Oh,
Well, they had the touch not my
I know, right? They don't know that instruments are anointed as well.
You play to your strengths. That's his specialty.
I like
right?
that. I like that. Yeah, play to your strength. City Newsroom is reporting summoned ministers must write to Parliament if they will be absent. Takrady girls kidnapped demand release of human remains in court. Lawyer to families. Minority condemns harassment of unemployed nurses by police. StarFMOnline.com is reporting upon Nkrumah chairs 2020 Population and Housing Census Publicity Committee. GFA Executive Council Ashanti Gold's Fred Achi picks slot. The woes of Technical University lecturer versus general principles of legality. And we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.